and there's my sound because I was wondering where was my sound a moment ago. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and good evening, and thank you so much for joining me on In Review this evening. Let me know if you can hear me. But before further ado, let me just bring in Sir Gary. Sir Gary, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm not bad, not bad, not bad. I had some technical challenges earlier, and I mean, you can hear me. Well, of course, you're not lip syncing. You're not, you're not lip reading me.
No, I'm certainly not lip reading you, man.
Well, I must say that with these technical things, normally people sitting before people, but in light of the world that we are living in now, you got to make do with these technical challenges, and at the same time, you've got to learn on the job. You know what I mean?
True.
COVID has taught us a lot of things that we never want to do. Take us out of our comfort zone. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah. How are you anyhow still? How's your week?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, my friend. I think that it's great to be alive.
Yes.
In our local church and in our local communities in Leeds here,
Hmm.
we've lost a very essential person. So our community and our church is in mourning at this moment,
Mm. Mm.
in grief, but it's
Yeah, my
great to know that we can still be in the land of the living.
yeah, my condolences at the same time. I
Yes,
think one of the things regarding this whole period, and I was walking one morning and I felt it so very strong that a lot of people have not been able to grieve properly, Gary.
true, true.
Families, friends. And I recall a couple of my friends who have passed away during the course of this time. You're not able to really reach out properly. They're buried, and you just feel like there's this gap or so which is in people. Can you imagine those who are actually during the course of the period of the lockdown? They always say the nurses are having mental trauma now, and the doctors because they are the ones who had to be feeling the brunt of when people died. They have to be communicating with the family members. They have the ones that got to take the pictures and communicate, you know. So the family member is not able to really, experience the whole aspect of grieving. What's your
Yes,
take on that? Yeah.
yes. I mean, let us say
Yeah.
for 50 years, 100 years, especially within the West Indian community,
Mm.
when people are not well, especially going to the hospitals, they can go, they can visit, they can spend time with their loved ones or with their friends. They can, whatever they do, they can talk, they can, pass information, talk about what's happening in the community, what's
Mm.
happening at home. In the Christian community, they can go and they pray. They can have prayer meeting. By the bedside, read the scripture. During the COVID times, let's say I think the West Indian community has not really been able to do that,
Yes. Yes.
especially again when it comes to ministers,
Yes.
as
Yes.
myself, really. In past, we are able to go in and visit, sit down, unannounced, really, and say, well, we are the pastors or the ministers of such and such, Mister or Mrs. And the nurses, they just wave us through, and they know exactly who we are to some extent, and we are
Yes.
able to share with our constituents or
Yes.
congregants. But
Yes.
that is part of the grieving, because when things happen, at least let us say for myself, when I know that an individual has passed, at least I can then be able to say, I can say I did go and visit someone. I
Mm.
did see the person. I remember at times, in one particular instance, when it was an elderly gentleman in one of our churches that I ministered to, probably about 10 years ago. He was in the hospital. He was really he was traveling, as they say, and his
Mm.
wife was also elderly. She called me. She told me what was happening, that the hospital had called
Yes.
her to say to come in. I got there because the church was in Wolverhampton at the time.
Yes.
We were based in Birmingham. We got to New Cross Hospital before her, really, from Birmingham. And I was then ushered into the room where he alone was.
Yes.
And that time, really, stillborn,
Mm.
that time was so special. Why? Because it was so serene. It was dark.
Mm.
It was late night on a particular
Mm.
day. I went in. When I went up to him, obviously his breathing was very shallow, so you couldn't really hear anything.
Yes.
But as I went up to him, stillborn, I tell you, man, I'll never forget this experience. As I went up to him and I called his name, and I went right up to his face. I put my ear by his mouth.
Mm.
He said, "Yes, Pastor." His eyes were closed, he wasn't seeing
Yes.
me.
Yes.
You couldn't see him breathe because
Yes.
again his breathing was he was so he was so young. If anybody has experienced someone dying
Mm.
or on the bed just before they take their last breath, this gentleman, he was in his 80s.
Yes.
When he was up and around, you could see he wore his age very well,
Mm.
extremely well, because there's some 50-year-old and 80-year-old, isn't it? But this gentleman, when on that night, I can clearly see him right now. That guy looked younger than me. I'm
Yes.
telling you, he looked really very handsome. But I went up to him and I called his name, and he answered me.
Yes.
He answered me very quietly, very succinctly, very calmly, but he answered. He knew who called him. He knew
Yes.
my
Yes.
voice. And shortly after, well, I prayed for him. Just he and I were there. I prayed for him, and shortly after, his wife came in. She was a little old and frail, really, because she wasn't well herself,
Mm.
and she has also gone on to be with the Lord. But it was so unique. So all of that was a part of the grieving process, at least for me.
Yeah.
Now people are passing. You can't go in to see them. You can't share any special moments or time with the individual as,
Yes.
for instance, like pastor and member, or son and daughter, or a father and his child. None of that now. None of that
Yes.
is happening, is taking place. All they're being told is that your mother has passed, or
Yes.
your husband has passed, and that is very traumatic. It's got to be, because people are not grieving as they want to.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
not
Yes.
they're not
Yes.
seeing the individual
Yes.
anymore. They're not able to share any more those last
Mm.
few moments, and that's the world in which we're living in, Silver.
So in a way, people acknowledge and recognize that there's death, but we all know that when you have death, you have a process of grieving,
Yes,
of dealing with it. But
yes.
there's this. So do you think then there's going to be this traumatic emotional blockages in people, which is going to be creating? In a way, I think the COVID factor and how it is dealt with is going to generate a next generation of hurtful people,
I think,
traumatic. Yeah.
yes. I mean, I do believe that. You see, nothing happens in isolation, and
Yes.
by that I mean that whatever the situation is now, there is going to be a reaction.
Yes.
In physics, or in
I was, I
chemistry,
was, I was gonna
in
say what
chemistry.
show. I was gonna say what show are we on tonight, but keep talking. Let's keep this moment going. God, this is powerful. Yeah,
you
no,
know,
no, it's serious. Yeah,
yeah. In chemistry, when I used to do a little bit of chemistry,
yeah,
not much, but just a little bit. Two solutions. you put two solutions together, you must get a reaction, whether
Yes.
it's favorable or whether or not. But something has to happen. And in
Yes.
this case, there must be something that's going to happen in society, in the community, and in the neighborhoods that we have. It's going to be played out in some way, whether it's in the family again, amongst friends, something, because human beings has to grieve. There's got to be
Yes.
something to vent.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
people
Yeah.
and some people with
Mm.
their characters, it's going to be a very traumatic time. It's going to
Yeah.
be because people have not been able to to see their loved ones. I mean, a wife told me um, about a week ago. I met her and we were talking and sharing, and she
Mm.
said to me, Silborn, she said to me, she hasn't seen her husband. Her husband died. She hasn't seen her husband. As
Wow.
far as she knows, is that he died in the hospital. They put him in a plastic bag, put him in the coffin, and that was it.
Wow.
That
Well,
was it. There's
is
no
it,
closure for her. I
well,
mean,
it, yes.
thank the Lord, she knows the
Mm.
Lord. That in one sense helps. That in
Mm.
one sense helps and should help. But we don't know. We're really going into uncharted
Yeah.
waters. That is
Well,
concerned.
well, just like Dean Morris Samuel said, it's really sad on earth. And like it is like they are not gone. There's no closure. So that- they know they're gone, but it's like something is not connected in a way,
Yes.
well, I think it is something we're going to pick up again, and we're going to talk after. Maybe I have to do a specific show on this, actually, Gary, based on that, but listen, one of the news, I mean, there's so many breaking news out there. I mean, I think the top one was with Greta, the lady who says they don't know what they're doing at the COP26 conference. Is a, um, but this conference, which just took place in Scotland, there, I don't know if you have been following it there, United Change Climate Change Conference UK 2021. It was a big thing, a gathering of the champions. Um, Many people are saying it was like a distraction from COVID, or something new is on the scene. What's your take on climate change? I mean, I'm asking because personally speaking, it hasn't really grabbed me in a way, and I'm not saying, not belittling it. What's your
Yeah.
take on climate change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, obviously, I mean, we can't talk about we can't talk negative about something that we know that is happening, if you
Yes.
understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
We know that the water levels or the sea levels are rising.
Mm.
I think that's a fact that we need to really
Yes.
um,
Acknowledge. Yeah.
acknowledge, yes, because more water, more rain is coming. That's one. Plus, the rivers are bursting their banks. Plus, in addition to what they're showing on these nature programs, and I'm not a naturist, but every now and again, it's so interesting that when you look at these things, you have to take note of it.
Mm.
And the satellite images over the years in certain places that have ice, you can see there's much less ice in certain areas today than they
Yeah.
were probably 10 years ago,
Mm.
thereabout. And we see that the polar caps, as they say, whether it's North Pole or the South Pole, where they go, but ice is breaking off, and the ice is melting. That's you can take note of.
Yes.
However, again, I'm not an expert, and I hold my hands up to that, and I don't have
Mm.
any figures, I don't have any statistics to
Yes.
hand to divulge to your worldwide audience. But but let me say that sometimes I think again that this is just all a smokescreen, as you said,
Mm.
to take our minds off certain things, certain areas. Now look at this. I was watching the television. Well, coincidentally, I was watching the television when Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he made the announcement, didn't he not, in
Yes.
regards to the £100 billion or dollars
Mm.
of pledges that countries have made in relation to tackling climate control
Yes.
or the climate, um, the climate situation. When I remember a few years back when some of these countries also pledged money for another for something else. I can't remember what exactly was, but I remember
Yeah.
quite clearly that some of these countries never gave anything. It was just mouth.
And I think Trump was actually rubbishing. Trump said Trump pulled out of it. I think.
I
Or
think so.
yeah.
If yes, I think so. All of this is just mouth. It's just word. Why do I
Mm.
say that? Listen, how many people do we have starving in Africa and in certain parts of the world, and they can't sort that out?
Yeah.
Yet they're pledging money, right, to sort out something that they have no control over. They cannot control the weather. They cannot control the weather,
Well,
right?
look.
And
Yes.
even though they are saying that they want, let's say in the UK here by 2030, all the cars are electric,
Uh,
or the sale of motor cars really that use fossil fuels um, are not sold anymore in this country. Okay, that may be a good idea to have cleaner energy and cleaner
mm,
air and all that. That may be good. Okay, fine. I'll accept that. But at the same time, when it comes to that, there's going to be something else that's going to be found dangerous for us as human
yeah.
beings that they're going to have to deal with.
Well. Someone on Instagram said overall they show us what they want to show us on the internet via TV. They want to show us. Um, um, Another person says here they need to they, we need to plant more trees to balance the CO2 levels. It's not rocket science. Another pastor, someone said the other day, did God say he needs help? Did God ask for help in regards to the world which he created? And then another person said, well, he gave us dominion over things, over the earth. He said, go and multiply, take dominion over the earth, take care of the earth. I mean,
Right.
so so we have a responsibility. I mean, as to how things are. As for the amount of money which is being given, I mean, as we mentioned a while ago, how much our poor countries getting to fight climate change. I heard the Barbados prime minister was really over there and creating a very impressive in rhetorics there at the same time. But you do wonder if this is just a show with Al Gore. Al Gore was a guy who was in charge of this at some point. Is this just a show? I don't know. But can we actually change the things? I know Prince Charles and everyone is saying, and especially with cars, a lot of people are feeling it with cars. A lot of people are feeling it, get rid of their cars and buying new cars which they cannot afford. The mayor of London, you can't go into central London or the ULZ or whatever. It's crazy. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was something else that happened in America. On a WhatsApp, it was sent to me about electric cars exploding out there. I don't know if anybody out there has heard in Florida. I
Yeah.
believe it is. I mean, but you see, I think the governments, in particular the United States,
Mm,
the UK, and probably some of the European countries, they are putting undue pressure on the citizens to do something that some people just cannot afford. I mean, I, I am persuaded, Silburn, that
mm,
that there are people in up in the higher echelons of these countries that do not want to have certain people driving. I'm I'm sure of that because if I was to give up my car, I could not afford an electric car.
Yes, yes.
Not now, and I don't think I'll ever be able to afford one ever to some extent. But I'm not really one for electric cars anyway. I like to hear what I'm driving.
Well, the whole hypocrisy of the whole thing is that all these guys, Bezos and all these guys, they take plane private jets and everybody pop down into Scotland there and telling people how to live their lives. It's all a hypocritical, you know, thing at the same time. And they talk about the amount of money rich countries give the developing world to help it cope with climate change will be one of the big battles of the COP26 climate summit. They say
Yeah,
a pledge to provide 100 billion, 720 million pounds a year by 2020 has not even been met. And poor countries are demanding action. A revised offer, which could mean the 100 billion figure is reached in 2023, has been described as extremely disappointing. You know, don't
yeah.
worry. I mean, I'm doing my bit. I tend to try to put the recycled stuff in the green bin. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, you see, I just think that as you just said, and as somebody I'm sure did point out that there's a lot of things that's taking place in our world that the governments will do so as to block out the other important things. The climate control of what they're trying to do really,
Yes.
it's important, but it's not that important. It's
Mm,
not that important. I think there are other far more important things that needs to be addressed. Like for instance, why aren't we why aren't we doing our best to feed the poor and the hungry in Africa? Why aren't we doing our best to address the situation down in Sudan? Why aren't we stressing to help those in Yemen? You know, we, they know the world, the newscasters, in each of those situations, they
mm,
say more or less that each of these situations are, world renowned in the sense that hunger and sickness and disease is on the brink of getting out of control in these
mm,
areas. Yet nothing really is being done to do anything. Yet they want $100 billion to go and spend on an ice cap to try
wow.
and stop that
Wow.
from melting. We can't stop it. There's
Yes.
no way we're gonna stop that now.
So 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 nothing really has really worked over all these years. I mean, like Jamaica, I know they're having a go at the Prime Minister of Jamaica, making some strong statements there as to the whole eco, while at the same time they are planning to destroy the cockpit country.
Mm,
Brazil actually is saying that they're going to hold back on some of the way they're dealing with the Amazon forest because those areas really supply the whole eco and especially Jamaica. But ladies and
mm.
gentlemen, let me hear what you think about that. And as we move on to the next one, in the last days, somebody said men will become lovers of themselves, babies having babies, parents against children. Am I against my children? No. There will be false prophets coming in the name of the Lord, pretending to be workers of God. Well, in Jamaica, we've got the cultish guy already. Late children are having children these days. That is why there's so many parenting assessment going on. There never had much parenting assessment going on when people growing up many years ago.
Well, I'd like to support what one
Mm,
of your viewers just said.
yes.
The Bible is already telling us what is, and
Mm,
what is to come, and
mm.
the whole world just seems to ignore these things. And if we
Oblivious.
only just listen to what the
Yes.
Word of God is saying.
Yes. Yes. Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, moving on now. As you can see on the picture there, Gary, and ladies and gentlemen, um, the big thing is that a first pill to treat COVID gets approval in the UK. What does this say about mandatory vaccine? First pill to treat. And ladies and gentlemen, think about this for a second. A first pill. to treat COVID gets approval in the UK. I think it got approval even before the vaccine, isn't it? Vaccines haven't got approval yet. I think that's
Not, not all. That's it. I mean, that's the funny thing about it. Not all vaccines. Yeah.
yes. So therefore, I was thinking the other day when we hear about this, just today when it came out and it's breaking and it's traveling around the world, I was saying, then what is this now about? Does this put a spokes in the whole mandatory thing? But let me just go further. I read about it. Molnupiravir is the first oral antiviral treatment for COVID to report clinical trial results. The first pill designed to treat symptomatic COVID has been approved by the UK medicines regulator. The tablet molnupiravir, let me just get this right. Molnupiravir will be given will be given twice a day to vulnerable patients recently diagnosed with the disease. In clinical trials, the pill originally developed to treat flu cut the risk of hospitalization or death by about half. Health Secretary Sajid Javid said the treatment was a game changer for the most frail and immunosuppressed. Man, they're creating some new words here, man. In a statement, he said, today is a historic day for our country as the UK is now the first country in the world to approve an antiviral that can be taken at home for COVID. What is this saying now? Is the vaccine mandatory or what? Ladies and gentlemen, what do you say? David Chen, Diane, what do you guys say? What do you say, Gary?
I mean, again, I don't know. I think that I don't want to talk against vaccines, and I don't want to promote vaccines. I mean, it's up to
Well,
it's people.
I'm super vaccine because my arm here shows that I'm fully vaccine from Jamaica days, man. I got all the marks, man.
I think. I mean, when it comes to vaccines, I want to say that it's a personal. It's it's a personal um,
Choice, yes.
choice. Now, okay, I could rock the boat right here for you, Mr. Sidia,
Yeah,
and
rocking. I'm rocking already. rocking. I'm rocking.
um, I could probably say a lot of things. And for some people, if I can say this, for some people, Silborn,
Yes.
we they can't separate the man from the position he holds.
Mm.
You understand? Now, I am a man. Yes, I hope. Last time I checked, I'm a
I'll put
man,
you on big screen.
and I am a minister in a Pentecostal church. I would say one of the largest Pentecostal churches in the UK. Um, and so, therefore, when I speak, even though I may say I speak as an individual, which I do, but I may have views that are
Mhm.
totally different to what my organization may really, propagate. Now, some people can look at me and hear me for
Mhm.
me, but some people will look at me and say, well, how can you say that? Or you are saying this and your church either agrees or disagrees. So there will always be some who will say, well, there's a contradiction here between you and the organization. Whereas there
Yes.
are some who will always look at me and say, well, Gary says this. He speaks
Yes. Yes.
for himself. So I've got to be careful what I say.
Speak with
But
forked tongues, man.
yes, very much, very much so, very much so. Um, um, but however, whatever is best for the individual, I would say, I would like for the individual to do that. When it comes to the um, the pills now, from what I have read and for what you have sent to me,
Mm.
and even the conversations that we've had over time, still, I would want to say to some extent is is um, is this? They have said that the pill, I think, is more or less going to be sent out to the care homes. It's for the elderly. Once they have been diagnosed, then it's going to be sent out to them, or they can get it on prescription drugs. If
Yeah.
if that is so, will it be then made open to the general public? Then, if that is so again, are we then able to take the pill instead of taking the vaccine.
Yes,
That
yes.
is, and if that is so, then we should not then have to be planning to take the vaccine, because there are many people who don't want the vaccine.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know what the vaccine really is made up of, and
Mm.
we don't know what this pill is made up of either.
Well, that's interesting bit, and I mean, we all have tablets. I mean, I'm on one of those tablets there as well, and we put them in our body. And someone would say, well, what's the difference between the tablets and the vaccine? I mean, you're still putting things in your body at the same time, you know. But I believe that it's important that we have the choices. I believe that it's also important that we have the ability to talk and to have these discussions. I believe I saw something recently. I don't know if it is true. Somebody sent it to me about there's going to be a prison sentence for those who speak against certain things. But I believe there need to be this openness at this time, because this is a breakthrough, and other countries, based on what I'm seeing, other countries are also working towards it as well. Um, it says it's the first approved antiviral for this disease that can be taken by the mouth rather than administered intravenously. But I saw something earlier that other countries are on the threshold of actually having a breakthrough as well. So it is a new development, a historic day for many things, and I believe the whole discussion should be opened a bit more. Let me hear what Carson said: blindsided by fame and glitter, so humanity will be at loss, as we are nothing without God, and without Him, whatever we do is bound to fail. And I think, in a way, we're all sort of missing out on the whole attributes of God. You know what I mean, Gary? At this time, you know,
I
is
yes, yes. I mean, I'm a firm believer in God. I'm
yes,
a Christian. I'm a firm believer. At the same time, in saying that, I believe that God has given man the abilities
yes,
to care for mankind.
mm,
Now, obviously, before COVID, all of us, as soon as we are sick or we were ill or we didn't feel well, we went straight to the doctor. Whatever they gave us,
we
we
took it.
didn't then begin to march up and down the high street saying, "I don't believe in this."
Yeah.
You, you understand? We took it.
Well,
We took
somebody
it.
said we eat a restaurant and we don't know what I'm gonna cook, and don't it taste good despite the menu. Well, to be honest with
Yes,
you, I tend to
you're
disagree,
right.
because when I go to I hardly go to restaurant these days, and most restaurants I go to, I know the guys. And I'm not getting no rat or so from a Caribbean restaurant.
I
You
remember.
know? But it's a fair point. It's a fair point at the same time. We don't know really know
We don't
what
know. But what is
yeah.
quite strange about this still
Mm,
is that there's a virus that came on board into this world. They didn't have a vaccine. They had no medication
mm.
available to tackle this particular virus. And within 1 year, still, they've got a virus. They've got a vaccine.
Well, you spoke something a while ago. Within 1 year, they got a virus.
With it,
I don't.
you
Well, I
know,
don't know. Well. Listen. Well, listen. Let me just show you something here, which is very concerning. Something which I saw today, and it makes me sort of wonder, because sometimes men speak certain things, and you wonder how comes we have certain things. And here it goes, and it is going to be right here. Let me just share this with you, and it's from the great Bill, not Cosby, Bill Gates. And here it is. Microsoft founder Bill Gates warns of bioterrorist attacks and urges the world leaders to use germ games to prepare. In interview with Jeremy Hunt, warns of a bioterrorist attack. So therefore, I think they've already created the answer for something which is to be created. I don't know, guys. I'm just sharing what is there. I'm not. I'm just a messenger here. You know what I'm saying? Critical thinking is lost, man. Critical thinking is lost. The founder of Microsoft has warned of bioterrorist attack. Governments must get ready for future pandemics and smallpox terror attacks by investing billions in research and development. Ladies and gentlemen, the best business to get into at this time is get into the pharmaceutical. Buy stocks and shares in the pharmaceutical and all
I'm
those other
telling you,
things.
I
because
mean, I mean,
that's a big business, man. Big
I
business.
mean, people are making money.
Yes.
People are making money, and and they're making money of the lives of the populations in this world.
Mm,
You know, somebody said to me some time ago that they're using us as guinea pigs.
mm.
They're using us as guinea pigs to see what works and what does not work.
Well,
And sadly,
yeah,
yes, yes, I don't have anything to. Again, I don't have the evidence in front of me, but
yeah,
yes, many people have it. It has aided many people, but then that's just by chance, still
yeah.
because they didn't know how it was going to work.
But at the end of the day, every day they're having researches, and researchers keep coming up and saying, upon the research, this is what has happened. Remember, many times they used to say this happened. I'm trying to find some examples. Sometimes they say, coffee. Coffee wasn't good for you. And at one point, they said coffee is not good for you. At the same time, wine wasn't good for you, but studies have shown wine is a little bit of wine or so is all good for you. So everything is a test, and everything is a way of actually showing to have a better way, a better life. But at the same time, you need the person to test it on as much as possible. High natural beauty, So that's the thing. Somebody's posting something about natural remedies. I don't know about the exact ones there, but natural remedies are something which people have to use till and very, very. But anyway, we are not scientists, and the doctor is not here. We're just going over some of the things, you know. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple more interesting thing which is happening out there. And Gary, I don't know if you know about this case here of Claudia Webb, this Leicester East MP. That's near your boundaries there.
Open, I think it's is it regarding the Owen Paterson row?
No, no, not that one there. This we haven't touched that one. This is Leicester East MP Claudia Webb suspended
Okay.
10-week jail term.
Yes, Leicester East MP given a suspended 10-week jail, and it was said I that the that the judge said that because um she had a good reputation or good name
Yeah,
before that that's what spared her
from
from
the
really getting the jail term.
getting the suspended sentence because she was suspended or kicked out of the Labour Party
Yes, she
as a
was.
result of that, which is similar to another MP, the one who lied about, well, was found guilty of lying about the time when the speeding with her family member. She was down
Right,
that side as well.
right,
Was she?
right.
Was it Leicester? I think it was Leicester.
Was it?
I'm not
No,
sure if it.
hold on. Was it what? I don't think. I think it was London.
No, no. Oh, I'm not too sure. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, MP who threatened to use acid against her partner's female friend and reveal naked photographs of her has been spared an immediate jail sentence. Um, so the outcome for this now is Labour confirmed on Thursday Webb has been expelled from the political party after sentencing on Thursday. Now, I believe the sentencing means Webb will now face a recall petition. This is what happens now, which could trigger a by election if at least 10% of her constituents support it. However, the process would have to wait until the outcome of any appeal by Webb against her conviction and avenue, which she has the right to do, which she's pursuing. Following sentencing, Webb said she was very disappointed by the decision of the magistrate and again stressed her innocence. She said in her statement, I'm lodging an appeal, and despite today's sentence, I fully expect the appeal to be granted and that ultimately it will be successful. So there we are. She's expelled by the party, but at the same time, she's going to fight. And so what happens now in this particular case is they're going to have a recall, but the recall, I believe, they said is after the appeal and by election. We have another by election with the same guy who stepped down there. But what is this about integrity now with MPs? They're all humans, isn't it?
I'm I'm very sorry to know that Miss Webb has been has allowed this to happen to her. It's
Mm.
very sad. I mean, her political career now seems to be in tatters.
Yes.
Her social and private life is out there. And when after this 10-week sentence or 10-month sentence, um, that's in shattered. That's in tatters also, really. And it always seems to happen. It would seem to the black community that when these things do happen, it sticks.
Yes.
This thing sticks,
Mm.
Silborn. It can happen to the white community, and they'll come
Wash,
out bouncing back.
washes off their back a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the I'm not trying to. I'm not sticking up for Miss Webb in the sense of, what she has done, but there seems to be
Or
injustice in the
or
way
or
how.
or, or she would say being convicted of because she's denying it. You know. But
Yes,
based
I
on
mean,
the conviction, yes, yes.
yes, there is injustice in that regard also. We will never, man
Mm.
never receives proper justice or
Yeah,
give justice to mankind. Never, never.
yes.
It's not going to happen. At least not to the black community. And it's just sad that all of us, some of us, when because we hold such high office or hold high esteem, we have to be that much more careful of what we do, how we behave, what our conduct is like, what we say, because one wrong move and we've had it
Mm.
totally. We've had it, and I'm just sad that Miss Webb has allowed this mistake to happen to her and
Yes, yes,
cause this now to have a big blot on her life.
yes, 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 yes.
I'm
Most definitely.
saddened. I'm saddened because we do need black people in in
These
high
positions.
office. We
Yeah.
need them in those areas and spheres of leadership and of government and such. We do, but when we get there, it would seem sometimes that it kind of we forget we forget how to handle ourselves and how to.
Yeah.
Well, some of us we take it to the nth degree. We lose our speech and our
Yes, yes.
tongue,
Well, well,
and our
well,
identity. We lose everything.
yeah. But one of the things that she's a bright. She was one of those. Well, I would say she is one of those bright rising stars. I mean, one of those other bright rising star, which is unfortunate, is Chuka Uma. I actually haven't seen him since the whole fiasco happened, but it wasn't anything of that nature. It was a political bad moves that he made. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just comes back out of the blue from somewhere. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, look at this. Look at this, Sil.
Yeah.
As a comparison, right? Look what they were saying of Chucker, and look what Boris Johnson. Look at his lifestyle. Now, which
Yeah.
is worse? If people are nitpicking, if you want to nitpick, well, nitpick that,
Mm.
right? Look
Yes.
at Chucker and examine whether it was true or not. Look at what they
Mm.
were saying about him. Look at
Yeah.
what they wanted the whole country to know about him.
Mm.
But then look at Boris Johnson with his lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And what he has done, and he's now prime minister. Nothing really said. Nothing really. It's covered over. You see,
Well,
one is of color and one is not. And we've got to look at these injustices that
yeah.
are happening. And you know what? Also, all of this is media driven. All of this is media driven.
Yes.
We've got and we've got something has to be done to stop these media people from putting a black mark against people.
Yeah.
Against once if they're against me, Sidia, my
Mm.
friend, anything that they put out there about me, people are going to believe. Why? Because they do it. Because
Yeah.
it's because they've said it.
It
They don't.
and then it's very difficult for it to be washed away. Normally, they actually will put it out there, and then they will just put even an apology in a little the backside of
Yeah.
the paper, if anything like that. But everything has been in the front page for a while. It's just like when a lady may accuse a man of something, and his name is all tarnished. And after a while, he realized that it was a lie, but his name is gone down the drain from
Yeah.
there, you
Yeah.
know.
And
But
and
as someone says, Carson said, "Judge ye not, and thou shalt not be judged." But at the same time, they said, "Judgment start at the house of God," isn't it?
well, I mean, I I can't reply to that really, because
Yeah,
it does start in the house of God. If we as Christians, really as men of God, and I know we had chatted a bit earlier on, Silborn,
yeah,
but I believe if I can put this in parenthesis, that the church has dropped the ball in many ways and in many
mm,
things, and that is why society is where it's at. We always seem to respond after the fact,
mm,
not when it hits. When it hits, we ought to be able to get up. We are the conscience of the nation. I believe we are the conscience of the nation. I
that,
believe that
that,
the church
yeah,
needs to be prophetic
yeah,
in its outlook, and powerful to the extent
mm,
that the kings, remember, in the Old Testament days, which was a reality. The whole nation needs to know this. The whole world needs to be aware that
yes,
in Bible times, the king was answerable to the prophet. Whenever the prophet needed to see the king, no door was closed to him. He had every opportunity to go before power and speak to that power. And what we fail to
yeah,
do in our world, in our nations, across the board, is that we have failed in our prophetic voice, in our prophetic utterance. We are failing
mm,
because which country today, Silborn,
mm.
tell me if there's anybody out in your world wide web, and I believe you're trying to rival Mr. Murdoch.
Well, they got to start from somewhere, isn't it?
We gotta start from somewhere.
Yes.
So remember me when thou goest into thy kingdom, yeah.
Well,
But
you'll be the conscience keeper.
yes, but tell
Mm,
me, where in this world is there a government that is listening to the prophetic voice of the church? And I'm
mm,
not talking about these so-called prophets that are popping up every now and again and
yes,
asking for money and asking for a seed. I'm not
yes,
talking about them prophets. I'm talking about the prophets that God has called to direct his people, to
yeah,
tell these people where they are, what they should be doing, and what they should not be doing. Where are
yeah.
they?
I tend to have to agree with you that and I was speaking with even somebody else, and they were talking about that the church has dropped the ball, even the whole thing with the whole pandemic. You're not hearing a strong voice of leadership coming through, speaking with power and speaking firmly at this time. But at the same time, one could say, well, the churches have all been coming through and they have just been falling in line, with all things. They are not standing up, or as you rightly say, speaking prophetically to the government, the leaders. Because in law, one of the things they always talk about is the Lord Chancellor. The Lord Chancellor used to be the king's conscience. He's a person who have of audience with the king, and he keeps the secrets and all those sort of things. But what we're seeing now is that the world is somewhat on this sort of autopilot. There's no
Yes.
sense of um, solid firmness, critical thinking. But sometimes maybe the church don't want to rock the boat because it affect their finances. Sorry, guys. Did I say that?
You know, whatever it is, Sil, the
Yeah,
point here needs to be made. Yeah, and many of you listeners, you've heard it yourself. You've heard many ministers say this. When the virus was coming, why didn't the prophets speak about it? Why did not they know we were going to be hit by such a
yeah,
virus as we have today? Let me make a correction though. There is one. coming to mind is a Zimbabwean, I believe, and he's been on YouTube, and I've listened to him, and he did to some extent prophetically say that something was coming out of the sea. Now, I don't know if any of your listeners did listen to that. So probably there's one, and probably there's many. However, these ministers that keep popping up, popping out of the place, that has the air of the king, and there are many. I'm not going to call one particular prophet who
Yeah.
we all know who she is, in who resides in the United States, who began to rebuke and saying she hears angels coming out of Africa.
Oh
Leave
yes.
them alone there. Leave them.
Yes. 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 I remember that lady there.
You know, I
Them
mean,
shall
all
we
of them.
pee. Yeah.
We're making a mockery of God. That's what we are doing. We are
Mhm.
mocking God because none of these prophetic utterances from any of those prophets ever prophesied that there was a virus coming and how long it would be and when the end would be of it. Because again, when you read the prophetic books of the Bible that many of us have not read and many also have discarded, when God spoke to um, um, to,
Children.
to bring justice to his
Yes.
people. He
Yes.
always told them when and how long it would be and when they would be delivered.
Yeah.
God never, he never, and I want someone out there to
Yeah.
prove me,
Yes.
contact Mr. Silborn Sidiel if I'm wrong, please,
Yes.
because
Now that.
Silborn will contact me and he will
Yes.
ask. I don't think there's any time that God said that when he was chastising Israel, that
Yes.
it would be an undetermined time. It was always a specific time, but he
Yes.
said he would deliver. And in
And it,
this
and
case,
it was clear, concise with time.
very clear.
Even with Moses, let my people go. There was a timing. There's clear, specific directions how the world should go and everything like that. You're right. You're right about that, Gary. And I think, well, the ball is in someone's court. Your court, my court. We'll have to get with it. You know what I'm saying? But finally, someone says I don't know about that. So James, must be you the one who's gonna know about that. But listen, finally, before we go, there's been some breaking and powerful news in so let me take that in America, whereby this lady here by the name of Miss America sending a message to Biden with Winsome Sears. You know,
All right, all
check
right,
this out. Check this
all
out.
right.
Check this
Settle
out.
down, settle down.
Settle down. Settle.
I am at a loss for words for the first time in my life. You know, I love you too. I am here. Yes.
It looks like I can't hear you.
Yeah,
What happened?
1 second.
Can't hear you.
Now you can hear me now.
I can hear you now.
I don't know what happened. I think the Democrats didn't want us to play her. Or maybe I'm over my time limit. I just got froze a while ago. But anyway, that is the new lieutenant governor, Miss Sears. Actually, she's from Ocherius. I'm just kidding. I don't know, but she's from she's from Jamaica. She's from Jamaica. Gary, I think that yeah, she's from Jamaica, and
Right.
she won this seat, and so it's very interesting time in America, and many people are saying that it's sending a message to Biden,
Right.
coming forward to the midterm elections, which is going to be next year.
Uh-huh.
I think in a year time or so. So that is going to be something. She's the first woman of color and the first woman also to hold that position as well. So it's a new day, it's a new dawn, and it's a new time. And of course, everybody's Jamaican these days. You know what I'm saying? You know. But anyway, we're gonna leave it there for now. But I think we have, and you have touched on some powerful topics, ladies and gentlemen, to listen back to the show really. And I think what I'm going to have to do, Gary, I'll have to maybe cut some sections of it and put it out, especially those bits that you were talking about there. That is why I separated myself at some point and put you alone on the front screen so you alone get the shot.
No, man. No, I prefer to see you and I on it. I prefer. That's what I prefer. I
No, no,
prefer
no.
that.
I was definitely with it. I was definitely with it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So we can wrap up now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And one more thing before I go, I was touching base on some issues regarding Jamaica because after the passing of that gentleman there, we keep seeing every day. I just now today desubscribe myself from the Star because the Star newspaper is just bringing up all these things about this man, and I'm just saying I'm just tired of it. I'm looking for some positive stuff. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean to say there's no negative stuff that we need to talk about, but I just realized that the world has reached a point now. We need some good stories. We need some positive. We need some inspirational. We need some godly stuff in our heart and our system. That's my view. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I can just share this, just to
yes,
say, in
please,
answer to James Luke Samuels
yes,
with Jonah. I mean, Jonah. Um, Nineveh was a wicked city, as you know very well.
mm,
So, but God had dealt with Jonah, who was the prophet,
mm,
to go down to preach to that city. Now,
yes,
that was a Gentile city, let us say, but I was more or less specifically speaking with or referring to Israel,
mm,
the prophets that were within and that lived with the people of God, with the children of Abraham. I was really referring to them. Um, but here, the Bible does say anyway that that he was in the belly of the whale for 3 days, 3 nights. He went in, preached, and within a specific short time, also the city was saved. God saved the city. I don't know what the length of time was that Nineveh had, because Nineveh was a wicked city. It was one
yes.
of the wickedest, if that's a word, city in the world at that known time.
We
So
would say we would say in Jamaica, it wicked, 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 it
yes,
wicked, it wicked. You know, Jamaica.
yes. But I stand to be corrected, James, and
Mm,
I love that interaction. At least you know what you wanted to
yeah,
say. You said it, and I had a little time during Silborn's
yeah,
downtime to look at the scriptures really and to read it. And there was no time given, no. But at
yes,
the same time, what I was really referring to was when God was dealing with His people when God was dealing with his people in relation to the prophet that was sent to them at that and at specific times, and the king that was in charge at the time, that the door was always open to the prophet. That is the point. Now, in our day, in our time, which government is the doors of our government opened to the prophet that may be in the UK today? We've got many on every street corner. We've got many prophets, but which one of them has the ear of the king? That's the point I want to bring. Who is going to
Yes.
listen? Sorry, Silver. I mean,
No, no,
I
no.
don't want
I want to make a decision tonight because listening to James and listening to you, we have to have a show about the prophet and government, God and government.
Yes, I mean, I think that
Let's
is
let's let's
important.
do something. Let's do something. Prophet and God and government.
Yes, I mean that would be. I would love to be a part, and you could
No,
probably
no, 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 no. You are not. I mean, you're going to be the lead part of it. You have to be a part.
give me
You're the
give
lead part of it.
give me a little time. Give me a little time, and get it out into your amongst your media
Yes,
empire.
yes,
Get it
yes,
out in your media empire.
yes, yes, yes. I like what you said. You know, on my Twitter here, on my Instagram, this is what is. I tell you what is written on my Instagram, and I believe in speaking things. You know, it says if you can you see what it says?
No, I can't.
It's
It's
blurred.
shaded. I can't read it.
Okay,
Read it.
the biggest independent UK talk show. Yes, and I put that up there from 2015 when I started the show.
Really?
I put the biggest independent UK talk show. I just put it out
Whoa.
there in the atmosphere. You know what I mean? I know you're saying that I'm competing with Rupert Murdoch and the atmosphere. Listen, man. No, no, ladies and gentlemen, listen. On a serious note, if you're big, you just got to go big. You know what I'm trying to say? You just have
I'm
to
telling you.
think big.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yes.
it's better to what they say, get rich, dying or something, dying rich. But on a serious note, you cannot think small. You got to go big. And with how society is now, listen, Mark Zuckerberg is on a big thing with this meta stuff. Everybody's onto something big, and they're not going small. They're seeing ahead. And I tell you, the rain fall on the just on the unjust. We all know that. And the Bible says the children of the world are wiser than the children of light. And at the same time, it's like these guys are seeing the future and they're planning for the future. That's what these guys are doing. They're seeing something in the sphere whereby they're saying all of this sitting down and having interviews is finished. They're talking about hologram. That's what the meta is, hologram. So therefore, we're having shows, but it's like we're there, but we're not there.
Right. Right.
You know?
I mean, really, when you think about what these guys are doing, they spend more than what they take in. That's why they get more.
Yes.
They're spending more than what they take in, so as to make a big impact.
Yeah.
Large impact.
Well, James said, "Go big or go home." and
I like that, James. I like that one.
Like Paula White with Trump. Haha, I love me some Paula, but what did she say to Trump? God and government sound awesome. Yeah, let's do a show. God and government. Let's 2 weeks time, Gary. Let's plan something. I don't know. We talk after this anyhow. So we don't
okay. Yes.
Don't put you on the spot because you'll decide. And next thing is, why Silburn? The Lord called me and said we mustn't do it.
Yes.
Put your disclaimer out. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining tonight. You know what I mean? And as well, Gary, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. James and everybody, thank you. Gary, don't leave yet. Okay?
Okay.
Stay on there. Okay, good. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining tonight. Thank you on Instagram as well. Thank you for joining the show. Tune in Saturday night on Talking Sip, and maybe Sunday night we might have a chilled on show as well. Who knows? Let's see what Sunday night is. I like Sunday night. Sunday night tends to be a very relaxing evening when I sit down and have a conversation with different persons. Tonight in the show, you've seen where we touched on some different topics, which wasn't scripted, but it shows you the heart of man. Man is actually questioning, man is actually critically thinking on things which is around us, and we have to address it. We cannot operate in fear, but we can operate strategically at this time. So like and subscribe to the show, and let us hear your views. Those on Instagram, thank you. If you want to watch the show, go on Silburn TV. Those on Facebook, those on YouTube. James, go big or go home. I saw you say, boom. See you later, guys. Bye bye. Thank you.